let's let's kick off, right? We've got about 11 people in here. Hopefully, more people will join as I start. So, hey, welcome everyone. Super excited. I haven't been live for a while. Been crazy busy with my life, having a full-time job, two kids, nearly a teenager in our household. My daughter turns 13 in 10 days' time, which is going to be a really amazing experience to have a teenager. I see Daniel Devine has joined. Now, Daniel, I'm going to mention your name because I actually played golf with your dad this morning on the island, and he flagged that the name sounded familiar. And I owe you an email, Daniel. I know it's in my inbox, uh, so watch out for that. I'll get back to you hopefully today. Just been crazy busy the last couple of months. So let's kick off. I think Miranda, you mentioned the anthology. So I want to talk about main thing to talk about today is My Name is Swan and Jan Noble's book. But let's kick off. We selected the winner of the LemonLight Prize earlier this week or Monday. We announced that, and that has been an amazing journey for us. So for those who know, our press has only been alive in publication since December last year. Feels like a lifetime that we've been doing this, but we've only been doing this for 9 months. Um, and part of our mission was to, obviously, as a non-profit, try and expand the reach of what we do by encouraging poets to submit to our press for a prize. Um, and we put up $3,000 for that prize to encourage submissions. And we had an overwhelming response. We had 706, 706 poets enter, over 3,500 poems, I think 11 different countries from around the world. Um, Dang, that was a lot to go through, right? It was hard to narrow that down. It was hard to narrow it down to the 100 who were in the long list. Even harder to narrow it down to the 51 that got shortlisted. And then we had some support from the Tunisian poet Layla Chassi, who is also a Copper Canyon poet, to help us select the winner out of the shortlist. And she selected a winner and four honourable mentions. The winner was Dawn McGuire for a poem called Mule, Mule. And if you go to our website, you'll be able to read that poem and find out more. The crazy thing about that book is, as Miranda just mentioned in the chat, um, we've sold out of that edition 6 weeks before it's even gone to print. I'm still finalizing the print as we speak now, and that's going off to print. We only produce 250 copies of each of our books, right? That's the goal, right? We want to make it something very special. We want to invest our donations that we kindly get from the community into producing really quality books. That has a cost of like how much we can print. And that's why communities like Substack and our website are really important, because everything that we get back, we don't make money on. We just put back into the care of the book that we make. And so rather than printing 5,000 books that never get sold, and to the annoyance of my wife and family, if I had boxes of books behind me, we produce a limited edition version, which is our like trade paperback, 250 copies of that. And so the LemonLight Prize anthology is sold out already. And I'm really grateful for the community for supporting that. Not because it's about us being sustainable, in part, it's about 51 new poets getting in the hands of new readers, which is the whole purpose of what we're doing. We're doing it for the written word and the craft of poetry and the craft of the book itself. So that's been super exciting. The other news that we have before I get into My Name is Swan is we are at AWP Chicago in March 2027. We will be launching a book there called Field Sonnets by Miranda Beeson, which is going to be an amazing book. Really look forward to getting that produced and in our hands. But looking forward to having a stand at AWP. We've got a premium exhibition stand, so we're in a really nice part of the room. It's our first time. I have no idea what to expect. So I'll be sitting there with our books and come up and say hello, and we'll talk about that more as that comes into view in in spring next year. But today, what I wanted to talk about was we are opening up pre-orders, or we have opened up pre-orders for My Name is Swan. It's a big moment for us to publish our second book. Our first book was Sesquipedalian Rain Chant by Brooks Lamp, and that is nearly sold out. Like, so you can find that book on our website, and there's about a handful of copies left. And we've also got a book bundle that I'll talk about later. Not to be a big, do a big sales message, but hey, we need to get the book in the hands of people. But today's a really amazing day because we are opening pre-orders for My Name is Swan. We actually have the book in hand. There's a few more things we need to do before we actually get it out into people's hands. The launch date is October the 1st, but I have the book in hand. It's similar to Rain Chant, but the design is very elegant. It's beautiful. But before I tell you what the book is, I want to tell you where it came from and why that matters. So Jan Noble is a UK poet, and he didn't write this poem at his desk. He spent 10 years performing it in pubs all over Britain and beyond. And I don't mean just like one pub here and there, hundreds of them. Jan is an amazing performer. His work has been seen on different stages, but he set himself this quest to perform My Name is Swan in every pub in London with the word Swan in the name. And I don't know if you guys know about pub names in England, but there are hundreds of pub names with Swan in the title, like the White Swan, the Old Swan, the Swan Hotel. I used to live in West London, and there was the Swan and Bottle. There are Weatherspoon branches, Riverside Boozers, Rough Houses. I believe sometimes, mostly he was invited. Probably a lot of the time he wasn't, knowing Jan, and he would just turn up and read out his poetry. He recited the poems that are in this book aboard the Queen Mary II in the middle of the Atlantic. He's recited on the Thames itself, on an island in Paris that's actually named after swans, because, of course, Jan would find an island named after swans. I tell you all of this not because the book didn't arrive finished, but because it was tested in probably some of the toughest places in London, night after night, in rooms that weren't paying attention. The book itself, though, is something that I really think expresses where we are as a press and what we want to publish. It's not your traditional collection of poems where you have 50 to 70 poems in a book that maybe has a narrative arc. And so I think it could be easy to misunderstand what kind of piece of work this is. It's not 3 long poems just bundled together as a trilogy either. It is one narrative piece in 3 movements. And it's published in a way that takes you on that journey. It starts in the water, the title poem, My Name is Swan, a solitary voice that drifts downriver through the edge of a city, half exile, half survivor. And it chases a kind of grace that keeps almost arriving, but doesn't. And as that poem ends from the river and comes onto the land, it goes into a poem number 2 called Reynard. But it's around the old trickster fox from medieval fables, but reimagined as a hunted migrant moving through modern cities, which I think is very relevant to today and the news stories that we see, even if we're looking at the ones in Spain recently, as of yesterday, but talking about migration and what that means to be an immigrant. And then in Body 115, the third poem, the poem goes completely underground. This one is built around a real person. And in 1987, there was a fire at King's Cross Station in London, a famous fire that killed individuals. And there was one unidentified victim known as Body 115. The voice that once drifted down a river and now is now walking through the dead. So the book is like in 3 settings. You have the river, the city, and the underworld, and it's a descent through that environment. Each part picks up exactly where the last one left unresolved, and that's why this book isn't like anything else, and this is why it's important for our press to put this work out there. We're publishing it as one piece for the first time together, not as three small books, but as the single thing that it was always meant to be. And as usual, we're doing a limited edition print run of 250 copies and a small fine art edition. And I'll share the Rain Chant fine art edition that we have hand bound, so you can see kind of the object that we've produced. Um, and so I think like that for me is such a special piece to steward as our press. And the pedigree of this book, this work is pretty significant. So Jan won Best Narrative for this piece at the LA International Poetry Film Festival, Best Innovative Play at the London Pub Theatre Awards. It's been on BBC Radio, University of Milan. John Nettles, who, if you're English, you'll know him as Bergerac, which was a detective who used to drive around Jersey. He did a vinyl releasing of Reynard. So this work has been out in the world for a while, but now we bring it together into one piece, and we are honoured to steward that work into people's hands. And so I'll show you the book because we have it in front of us now. And I want to show it next to Rain Chant because you can see the kind of quality of the work that we're producing. So Rain Chant was this one here, right? So our house style is to have very luxurious paper and very elegant. And this like rich blue works really well with the gold foil. Whereas Swan, we really thought about like what colors we would want and how it would represent the story within. And it's this lovely, still the gold foil, which would be our signature style, but this lovely grey book that we have here, right? The paper stock. And so it's exciting to have this in our hands. There's still a bit of work to be done before we actually post and mail this out to people. You can actually buy those two books together. I'm going to paste the link here. This is just for Substack people. This link isn't live for other people that won't be able to find it. If you wanted these two books, there's like 20 versions of these bundles left. Like if you wanted to buy two, because we're low on the Rain Chant. But we've reduced costs and reduced postage if you wanted to go and buy these now or pre-order this one, and we'll send them out once this is fully finalized. So super exciting. The other thing I wanted to show you about like the fine art editions, which I can't remember if I shared this version with you guys. But every time we publish something, we do 250 of those versions. And then we do a fine art edition, which is really designed to help us raise major gifts. So if someone donates to help us publish a poet, like $5,000 to $10,000 is what it costs to produce our books, they then get one of these fine art editions. So it kind of looks like just a normal kind of like hardback book. But what you see here is the kind of clamshell with the hand-bound edition of Rain Chant. And so this is done by our bookbinder called Nate McCall from McCall Bindery. And as you can see, it's like beautifully crafted. Just see the lovely kind of marbled interior. And again, like lovely, just paper all the way through. Won't go all the way through it, but these are very special. We give one, in an ideal world, to our poet, to the press, and then for major gift fundraising. So we're producing these for Rain Chant as well. They're not for general consumption or sale, but if people are interested in helping support us as a press, then we use this to raise funds. And our economic model is pretty straightforward. Every time we raise $6,000 to $7,000, we can publish a new poet. And so that's why we're reliant on the generosity of the community to get there. So Jan, you've joined, so welcome. You've missed me wax lyrical about your work. So hopefully I haven't embarrassed you by talking too much about your great work, or butchered what you've actually done, right? Because I think the piece is something that I truly treasure. And I met Jan in Brighton in a pub after we agreed to work together. And I remember him, and I've told this story before, but he came up to me. And Jan's quite an imposing, beautiful man, and told me I'd saved his life. So I'm not sure that's necessarily true, but I think poetry does save lives. Being able to write it, being able to craft it, but also helping people get their work out there. And that's what our press is about. It's the necessity for someone to say something and get something out there. So we're super pleased that we're publishing My Name is Swan. We've been overwhelmed by the response for Rain Chant. We have another couple of books coming this year. We have the LemonLight Prize, which is the anthology, which is sold out. We have The Lost Stations by uh, Kara Waterfall, which is coming out for pre-order around October time and be out early or mid-November. And then we'll do a big like fundraising campaign towards the end of the year to try and get enough money to keep this press alive. And that's what I wanted to touch upon at the end, right? It's pre-orders. Like this is the book that's out there. We make no money on this. Like it's $18.95, and I don't want to do a big sale and like wave hands and say go and purchase this. But every time you publish this book, it enables us, or every time you purchase this book, it helps fund another book. The margin isn't there for us to like make a ton of money, but it's 18.95 to go and buy that if you're in the US, or you can buy it in the UK or EU if you're in Europe. So you can go to inkandribbon.org and look up My Name is Swan. If you use the link that I put in the chat, you can buy a bundle. There's only 20 of those available, so first come, first served on those bundles. But yeah, that was all I wanted to talk about today. What a great occasion to celebrate Jan and his work. Please go to the website. There are some videos there as well that show Jan um, speaking, doing his poetry, doing his performances. I think you're going to find this book incredible and a unique piece that is different from what's being published at the moment. Okay, I'll open up the floor. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take any. Otherwise, I will leave you to the rest of your day. Great. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.